Hello, Emma. So I'm so pleased that we meet each other again here in the podcast and that you want to participate in this podcast. I'm Dutch, so I sometimes speak a little bit funny English, but anyway. And I'm very pleased. So could you present yourself to the audience, who you are, where you're from, a short, brief moment introduction?
Sure. So first of all, thank you very much, Danny, for inviting me to participate in your podcast. It's very exciting. My name is Emma. I am from Ireland, born and bred. I am 52, about to turn 53 at the end of next month, and almost kind of finished my second Camino, where we met in October 2025. That was last year, wasn't it? Yeah, 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted to be able to participate with this. I know we've had some amazing conversations, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing about the podcast is because there's a lot of stuff out there for, I call it the hiking Camino, the outer Camino, about the pictures and the places where you are. But actually, the people are getting trouble with PCS, the post Camino syndrome, because of the inner Camino, which people walk during the Camino. And things like magical moments, like the Camino provide moments, things you leave behind, revelations you had. What is something you could share and you want to share with your Camino family, actually?
Yeah, the wider Camino family. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know I was aware of the Camino before I found out about it, if that makes sense. But apparently I did know because I knew people that had walked it. I just didn't connect the two.
Yeah.
And I first did it I did the Camino Francais, or however you pronounce it, the French way.
The French way, yeah.
Yeah, I did that initially in 2011. I had been living over in the UK. I'm a psychologist, so I had gone over to the UK to do my master's. I worked over there, and then I was coming home with the hope of getting onto clinical training program, a doctorate in clinical training.
Yeah.
And I got on, and I was like, right, I need a holiday. I want a holiday before I begin. I want to go to Spain. I don't know what else I want to do. And off, I was looking at, trying to book a holiday, and I couldn't find anything. Like, there was no, the thoughts of lying on a beach or by a pool for a week or two. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
In my frustration in trying to plan, I took myself away from my computer planning and went down to the cinema one day, and I happened to see Martin Sheen's movie The Way.
Oh, so you too?
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm watching it going, and I'm sitting in the cinema, and I could feel this connection, this burning desire inside me. I couldn't really explain what it was, but it was like I wanted to run out of the cinema to go and start my own Camino, even though I hadn't finished the movie. I didn't know what, it was like it clicked. Yeah. So I went home and I went down several rabbit holes, and I researched, and I went, yeah, that's what I want to do. It's Spain. It's not sitting by a pool for a week, whatever. So I booked my flight I flew to Biarritz, up to Bayonne, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and I had my return flight home from Santiago 5 weeks later. And in between that, I didn't know. I had no plan. I did not know what I was going to do, what it was going to be like. I'd never really been a hiker. I'd never really done hiking before, any of that sort of stuff. I don't know what got into me, but I just thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. So off I went.
So actually you lost your mind.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was like, I mean, this looks fun. It looks exciting. It looks like, beautiful scenery, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And off and so I was looking, the more research I did into it, like I had to go and buy a rucksack, I had to go buy hiking boots, hiking socks. I had no gear, I had nothing, So I took myself off down the rabbit hole of research and looked into it, whatever. And the more time I spent researching, I was like, this is going to be a really good analogy for my clinical training. It's a discrete distance, a discrete period of time. There's going to be good days and bad days. There's going to be uphills and downhills. There's going to be flat surface, easy, things that are easy, things that are difficult. And it's going to throw curveballs that you can't anticipate. And I thought that's a really nice analogy, a kind of like a trial run as I go into a 3-year clinical professional training program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so off I went, not knowing anything. I didn't even know how to wear a rucksack. Right.
Yeah.
So I flew over into Biarritz, got up to Saint Jean Pied de Port, did not have a clue. The next day, got up and I just followed the crowd. 2011, there was a lot of interest had started to pick up. There was a huge amount of German tourists on the Camino at that time.
Yeah.
There was a German stand-up comedian had done it and written a book about it and stuff.
I don't know, but indeed, in that period of time, a lot of Germans were walking.
Yeah. So I asked how come there's so many, and they're like German. Comedian, I think, stand-up comedian had either written a book or done a piece about it.
Oh, Kerker Habeling. Yeah, that's I lived 16 years in Germany. Okay. And the Germans always, did you read the book? The Jakobsweg, it is called in Germany.
Okay, excellent.
Not the St. James or Santiago, but Jakobsweg. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I never knew what it was called or who it was, but I was like, this is what what got the German cohort there. So I walked with a lot of German people. I walked with a lot of European people. It was, I think maybe I was 3 weeks in before I met another Irish person there. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. But anyway, I digress. Stop there. I've lost my train of thought.
So you were walking, starting in Saint Jean Pied de Port, just following all the people.
Yes, I got up. I think there was maybe I was in a private albergue. There was 8 beds in the room, and I think 6 of them were German tourists. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow. They seem like they know what they're doing. They're all very proficient, and off I went and followed. And I trotted on up and over into Roncesvalles that first day, not knowing how to carry my pack. So I had my, one of the things that I learned is how to carry your pack. And again, that's symbolic of how do you go through life? How do you carry the weight that you carry, So my first day, even the research that I had done before I'd gone on the Camino, it was giving me a lot of, food for thought. On my first day, I was like, oh, okay. I went on my own because I have been a chronic people pleaser my whole life.
Okay.
And I knew if I went with somebody else, I would give in to their agenda all of the time. And I wanted to find what's my agenda, what's right for me. So that was my decision to go alone.
So actually, that was a decision to go towards your inner Camino.
Yes, absolutely.
Your inner Camino. Yeah.
My inner Camino. I was like, I need to follow my inner Camino.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody else's.
Yeah.
And of course, very quickly into it, I met people on the first day. We went out for dinner. They were very kind of Portuguese. There was a German. There was French Canadians. We went out for a meal. They were all very welcoming. We stayed in the same kind of little dorm area in Roncesvalles. And then we set off the next day, and I was busting my ass to keep up with them. I ended up with chronic blisters. I mean, I had blisters that were like, there was one on my heel that was about 2 inches long, right? It was huge because I was trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And it took me a few weeks to learn about that, to learn that lesson of I need to go. So I fell very quickly into my own trap, and I had to recognize and pull back. So I completed that Camino in 5 weeks. So I got into Santiago as planned and spent a couple of days. But because I was not operating to the beat of my own drum, I suffered multiple injuries. I had tendonitis. My leg squeaked when I lifted my foot up. I could hear an awful squeak in the front of my foot. Yeah, it's like that's not meant to happen. I had blisters in my blisters. I couldn't even look at I didn't even know what to do, how to treat the blisters first day. Within a couple of days, I'm, eating a bocadillo at the, morning break, whatever, and popping blisters as I go. So I got very proficient very quickly in the practical, but I was still falling into the traps a little bit. I wanted to, I'd heard so much about your Camino family, and I was like, I felt like I had to keep with the same people. Like that was my idea of what it was. Even if it wasn't suiting my agenda, I had to keep with. So I skipped a lot of stages. And because of the injuries and because I wanted to keep up with people, I skipped a lot of stages by bus. And I was like, and everyone's like, you do your Camino your way. And I'm an avid believer of that. You have to do your Camino your way. Yeah. And in order to do that, find out what is your way. So it's that inner reflection. And I got buses. I did the Camino my way by the time I arrived into Santiago, I was like, I'm never walking again. What was I thinking? I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
and then I went home, I did my clinical training, and it was a really good analogy. The ups and downs, the good days, the bad
Yeah.
days. Don't fall into other people's agenda, stay true to yourself, find out, how. So I was doing a clinical training program in psychology. Who am I as a psychologist? How do I operate as a psychologist? You're influenced by people on a training program. We had to do 6 placements. So we've got 6 different supervisors.
Yeah.
We've got the academic components, our teachers, our instructors. We've got our class peers, our people ahead of us and below us. And you have to find out who you are. So again, it's much like the Camino in that way. Excuse me. So it's
and Emma, what strikes me now while you're talking, I also started walking the Camino in 2013. It was because of the movie The Way.
Yeah.
And in the movie The Way, you see that the family is moving all the way.
Yes.
And actually, I never realized till now. You tell this, but because you watch the movie, we are already programmed in a way that we need to catch up with the family. And actually, that's not the case, because last year I walked the Saint Jean till Santiago, and actually I had many families.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I also had the idea I need to stick with these people, but it was not healthy for me. I'm an old man, so I could not keep up with 25 kilometers every day. That was not possible. And so now you're telling this, and I think, oh, really? You see the movie, and immediately you already take your brain is already programmed in that way. So sorry to interrupt you, but that was
amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we have to operate as humans. Is we see something, we're introduced to something, and we think that's the way it is, and until we experience it differently, we think that's the way it is. So I was influenced by the movie. You were influenced by the movie. We didn't realize it at the time.
No.
And there are people, the Germans who I met were probably influenced by the book and from the stand-up comedian whose name you mentioned. People who have heard stories from other people who are influenced. So we are shaped by our experiences, and we have to be in order to make sense of the world, because there's so much data coming into us from the world. We have to make sense of it and take shortcuts. But those shortcuts are sometimes based on incorrect or incomplete information.
Yeah.
We don't think about that. We just go headlong. So
after your first Camino, because you were enduring injuries, blisters like crazy, I had the same. The first time I walked, I started in Osobrero and I arrived in Porto Marín, and I could not see my feet anymore. It was one big blister, and I thought, okay, my Camino is over. But 3 days later, I could walk. Anyway, I had similar experience, but. What I take a little bit out what you tell till now is that actually you were walking the Camino, but not your Camino the first time.
I struggled with staying with my Camino. I would fall in and then go, damn it. And so I think at the point, so it was walking along the canal into Formista, I felt a pop in my leg. And I literally couldn't put weight on my foot anymore. Yeah. And I think actually, the girl who came up, I think she might have been Swedish. I can't remember her name. I can see her picture. I can see her face. And I did meet her again in Santiago. But she came up. She knew I was struggling. I couldn't stop crying. I was in such pain. And she had sticks. I never walked with sticks. And she had poles. And she gave me her poles to take some of the weight, so kind of not as crutches, but just take some of the weight bearing. And she walked incredibly slowly with me the rest of the way into Formista. Got me, she had already, she was going on somewhere else, but got me checked into a family-run alberg. I stayed there for the night, and I was like, I'm done. I can't go anymore. No, I wasn't done. They told me where I needed to go to get to a hospital in Lyon. So I had to skip some of that section. And I was kind of raging because I really wanted to walk. I think that is through it is through the stage because I got to Lyon. I really wanted to walk them stage, and I was really enjoying it. But that's the moment in time that my leg popped.
So actually, she was a moment of the Camino provides.
She was the Camino angel, the Camino provides.
Yeah.
And
Unbelievable.
I'd never met her before that day. She came up. She was like, "Use my poles," and I was like, "No, but you're using them." It was like, I can't take from somebody because then they won't have. And I'm like, I can't. And she's like, no, please. I want, and she really had to work hard to get me to take them. And for me to accept, actually, yes, I need help, and thank you, I can take your help. Walked slowly with me. I didn't see her again until Santiago. Right. When I saw her in Santiago, I was like, oh my God. And it was a Camino provided moment, definitely. And I said to her that, I said, you're my Camino angel. You were it, you know?
Yeah.
And so that really forced me to reflect on whose Camino am I walking here, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I was more mindful and more reflective from that point on, because I was forced. When I got to Leon, I got to the hospital, and I was told, the doctor was like, "No, you need to stop walking," and I was like, "I can't. I can't."
You can't, eh? You can't.
Yeah. But what I did do was I rested for a couple of days, and then I got buses, and I'd walk. You know, I'm not going to walk today, and I'd walk maybe 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, very slowly, very gently. And I did, and then I increased, and so I was able to walk into Santiago. The time I got there, I was like, never walking again. And then I went home, did the clinical training. So that was 2011. Did my clinical training, and of course that consumed me. I had no time for anything else.
Yeah.
And I had a job. I went from training into a job, and then I got a different job that I was waiting for. So there was 6 months where I was working in one job, which I enjoyed, but I was waiting for the other job. Got the other job, was there for 3.5 years, and the service I went into changed utterly, and it was flipped on its head, and it was like, I can't fit here anymore, and I need to get out. And I felt like I needed to walk it out. And I didn't know really what that meant, but I was like, I need to go back to the Camino. And this time I'm going to walk every step of the way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it. If it takes me 20 years, I'll take 20 years, you know? And so I started in 2018, September 2018. And again, I very quickly, and didn't fall quite as quickly into the traps as much. I was more aware of, and I was making conscious choices to walk with or not with.
Mm-hmm.
But again, very quickly, I got tendonitis again. Same place, same leg. I was like, what the hell? So I had to stop. I think I was a week into it. By Logroño, I had to stop. And I knew when I booked that, I was like, I'm going. I've got 2 weeks. I can walk for a day. I can walk for 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm going to walk until I can't walk anymore. I stop. And then that's where I pick up from the next time. So I got to Logroño, and I stopped, and I went down. My sister lives in Madrid, so I got a bus down to Madrid and spent some time with her. And I said, right, I'll pick it up again next year or 6 months or whatever. And then I don't know what happened in 2019. The COVID hit, and that kind of put the kibosh in everything. Yeah. And so I went back in 2023. I turned 50. And I was like, for my 50th, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to walk again. I don't know how much I'm going to walk. I don't know how far I'm going to walk, but I'm going to rest, I'm going to walk, and I'm going to write. And they're the three things I'm going to do. And so I went over to pick up exactly where I left off from, checked into the albergue in Logroño, and then I got a call to go home that my mum was in hospital and wasn't going to make it. So I had to go home. So I didn't walk any of the Camino that time.
No.
It was I got there I arrived into Logroño at say 5 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock I got the call going, you need to go. Jeez. So that was my Camino then, you know.
So that was the third time you went.
This was to pick up on the second stretch, the second run of the French way, but it was the third time going over it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then so it took me a year to get back. And I went back. Actually, it took me longer. It took me a year and 5 months to get back. Yeah. October 24, I picked up from Logroño. I checked into the same albergue I had checked into when I got the call about mum. And I was like, this time I'm determined to walk out of the city without anyone dying. And off I went. And that was really, that was a moment. I mean, there was something very cathartic and very strange about that. And so Logroño was, you know, into.
So what do you mean very strange? What did you experience then?
I noticed I was very worried picking up from where had left off when I got the call about mum.
Why?
I thought something bad was going to happen again.
Oh, okay.
I
Mhm.
didn't know what was going to happen. I thought something
Yeah.
bad was going to happen, and I don't know. Is this, was that? Should I not be doing that?
Yeah.
She was all for me to do it when I went
Yeah.
over after my 50th birthday, and she was like, "Oh, be careful. Let us know where you are when you go," and all of the stuff that parents say even at 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and she went out for lunch and didn't survive. So it was like when I went back, I was like, "Oh, I don't."
Yeah.
But I found myself going back into the same alberg. I was in the same dorm in the alberg. I was one cubicle over, but the same
Yeah.
bed in the next
The same
cubicle
room.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna notice what happens, what comes up.
Mhm.
So I did, and walking out, and I felt like it was it was like a completion of something. I'm
Yeah.
still processing that, like 2 years on,
Yeah.
still processing it. So obviously, Logroño, you're kind of heading into. I think the next is into the couple of days into Burgos, and then into the Meseta, or is Burgos the end? No, it's the beginning of the Meseta, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends a little bit. After Logroño, it starts a little bit, and then the official Meseta starts after Burgos, and
Yeah,
then till Leon.
to
But
Leon. Yeah,
the scenery after Logroño starts to change already in that way.
yeah. And it's funny. I can't really remember those first couple of days out of Logroño and into,
Uh-huh.
lots of so on that time, so 2024. Hang on, what year are we now? 26, 24. Yeah, 24. So when I picked up from Logroño, I was like, I am walking by myself.
Yeah.
This is a conscious choice I'm making. I
Yeah.
need to do my Camino my way.
My way. Yeah.
So so I walked for 10 days. I did 250 kilometers in 10 days. The first 6 days, I walked entirely by myself. I passed pilgrims. I'd say hello, good morning, good morning, Camino, but I
Yeah.
did not. I might fall in step with somebody for a bit, and then I'd carry on my own.
Yeah.
But I consciously walked by myself. I consciously had coffee by myself. I had my dinner, my lunch, my breakfast, whatever meals I had, I ate by myself. And it was really important for me to do that,
Yeah.
to really allow myself to reflect on my experience, on
Yeah.
what's coming up for me.
Yeah.
And by Jesus, Danny, did I fight? Well, did I argued with myself. I screamed out into the universe. I did all of that processing, the grief, the not just for mum, but for many other things,
Yeah.
as I walked by myself, following my Camino and doing
Yeah.
so. My inner Camino at that point very much mapped onto my outer Camino, the hiking, the walking, whatever. I had blisters. My blisters. They didn't stop me. The pain, like I was able to. The physical pain was almost like a manifestation of what I was kind of going through,
Uh-huh.
and I noticed I was getting song lyrics, but look, little snippets of song lyrics coming up in my head as I walked different stages, different days, and as
Yeah.
soon as what's that? What is the message in that? What's trying to communicate?
Yeah.
What is my unconscious telling me here as I
Yeah.
kind of free associate as I'm walking along? And so, I used that silence, and that it was by far the most meditative part of any Camino I have done.
Yeah.
So much so that I'm kind of yearning to go back and do that section again, just that section.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just to see what if anything is different. I remember, like, you can walk for hours and hours and hours and nothing changes, and it's beautiful, and then all of a sudden it's totally changed.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
one foot in front of the other. Breathe in, breathe out, notice
Yeah.
the pauses in between, and just keep going. Just keep going.
So, and when you were working in a certain day in that period, and a lot of things happened, and perhaps you were screaming against the universe or whatever, and so there's a lot of emotions there going on. Did it stay the whole day then?
It would change. It would depend. So there was other stuff going on. I was like there was texts and stuff from home, and different kind of relationships that I was trying to navigate my way through and into and out of and beyond and whatever. So things would change according to how maybe I slept, how if I'd eaten, um, what I'd gotten a text message, if I hadn't gotten a text message. And I what I did notice is if I distracted myself away from something so as not to feel it, it came
Yeah.
back up. Wait. So I had to just kind of let
Sit
it
in, sit into it.
sit into it and let it ride, like kind of ride the way, as John
Yeah.
Kabat-Zinn says, you don't, you can't kind of fight the waves. You just got to learn to surf, So I jumped up on my psychological surfboard and, so did it change? Sometimes it changed more quickly. Other times it didn't change. Other times it took a couple of days. But I was able to notice in those times, even in like I'd be walking along and I'd be in the hell of it and see, a little beetle walking across the path. And
Yeah.
just, you know, that little beetle has no concept of my inner journey. I've no
Yeah.
concept of his inner journey. And just kind of meeting life there,
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of had those moments of reflection in it that allowed me to tolerate when things were tough, really tough. And then kind of knowing this too shall pass, and so
Yeah.
will the good times. And I'm trying not to hold on to if I was feeling good and then
Yeah.
something, not to try and push back against in
Yeah.
order to preserve the good feeling, So yeah, I mean, things did change and shift in that by the sixth day, I fell into a walk with somebody and walked along. And it was like, I had made a conscious choice up until that point.
Yeah.
And on that day, I walked with somebody and it was natural and it suited me. It worked for me. And then I was noticing that while I was doing it.
Yeah.
And as I walked on, I noticed, okay, now I need to maybe spend some time by myself. And so
Yeah.
we stopped off for coffee and I said, okay, I think I'm going to push on because I need some time by myself.
Yeah.
I need to say that to somebody. That was
Yeah.
massive. Like the shifts were very tiny and then they were very significant.
Yeah, because that's a real paradigm shift, actually, and especially with your profession and your standard modus of operation as a human. That's a big shift. Just a couple of words, but a big shift. It's huge.
Huge shift.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the feeling of, I don't want to say pride because it's not pride, but the feeling of achievement and satisfaction and I suppose self-protection from that.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first time I said to somebody, I'm going to push on next, I need to kind of work on I need to think about a couple of things, so I'm just going to push on. And yeah, great, we'll catch up later on. I floated.
Yeah.
Well, just being able to do that, I was like, I listened to what was going on for me, and then put it into practice. And like, yeah, my walking was quite fast on that.
Yeah.
Because I think I was in line with myself.
Yeah, exactly. It's also interesting what you say now, because you say my walking was quite fast. Mm-hmm. I started last year in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and I thought, okay, I'm 67 now, so I need to take care a little bit about myself. Mm-hmm. And I have some trouble with my left knee, so I was walking quite slow. And then I start to get trouble with my knee. And then I thought, is this actually the real speed which is fitting for me? And so I started to experiment a little bit. And then it turned out that my natural speed was more than twice as fast than I started off with. Yeah. And actually, normally I was walking and people were passing me, but now it was me like a machine, like chuck.
Yeah.
And people say, hey, do you are in a hurry? But I wasn't. It was my natural speed, my natural rhythm. And it was much faster than my brain, my logical brain was concluding which I should do. It's really interesting. And you mentioned that as well.
Yeah. I remember, like, I would have always thought, like, I'm a quite a fast walker, but I'm short. I'm like 5'1.5". So everybody who walks fast gets there quicker than I do. So even though I'm a fast walker, I was like, how the hell is everybody getting there? It took a while for me to go, oh, right, their stride is, whatever.
Yeah, they have longer legs.
Longer legs, they make up more ground in the same space,
Yeah.
But like I'm walking along, and for me it matched the energy I was feeling in terms of walking. I had my whatever it was, 7, 8, 10K backpack on me. I carry, so my way for doing the Camino has been always to carry my pack with me. I carry what I need, and and that's, I'm not trying to dispute people who get bags carried on or move. You have to do the Camino your way. For me, I started it that way, so I finish it that way. Next time, maybe I will get my bags. I have no idea. I don't know. But for me, I had my pack on my back, and it felt comfortable and fit well, and boom, off I went. And I remember I passed a woman one day, and she was like, "Wow, you walk so fast for a pilgrim." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I've a lot of shit to process," and off I went. And I didn't know those words were going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. I think things very quickly. So the way my brain operates was the same way as my body was operating. So I was in sync with myself, So it was interesting to do that. And of course, the Massaja is flat. It's much easier to walk fast when you're walking on the flat. When I went back then last year where we met, I picked up again from.
So that was your 5th time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Whoa.
So again, flew into Madrid, got the bus up to where?
So may I ask, why did you go for the 5th time again?
Because when I had set out in 2018, I was like, I'm walking every step of the way. And
okay, you didn't finish on the
so
other one yet.
Yeah, when I picked up from Granio, I had 10 days of. I had 2 weeks.
Okay,
I don't know how long I'm gonna walk for. And actually, my sister and niece drove up from Madrid to meet me. In, oh my God, the name's gone out of my head. The halfway point, Sahagún. They came up on the Saturday. They drove up on the Saturday to meet me in Sahagún, and I miscalculated, and I didn't think I would make it to Leon in enough time to get to Leon and then spend a day traveling back down to Madrid to get my flight home. When they came to Sahagún to meet me, I went back down. I stopped then at that point. I went, I'm happy here. This is good, and I'll pick up from here the next time. So, and it was exactly the halfway point, and I went, okay, so I've done half, I've half left. I don't know how long it's going to take. So 2024, I picked up again in Sahagún. From the same hostel, from the same hostel that I had stayed in when I. Sorry, big pardon. I didn't. We stayed in a hotel when I got to Sahagún.
Okay.
But from where we had like near enough to where we had dinner or whatever, I was like, I picked a place where this is my starting point,
Yeah.
So I walked from Sahagún, and then I was like, I don't know. I've got however long I had. I can't even remember. I think I had like 20 days, and I was like, I don't know how far I'm going to go. I have no idea. I won't get to Santiago every step of the way. But we'll see how I go. If I get to Sarria, that's good enough. I can pick up from there. It's an easy place to pick up from, blah, blah, blah. And I walked from Sahagún again. The first morning the first day I walked mostly on my own. The first morning I walked mostly on my own. Met an Irish couple in a bar. Irish people, when we're away, we tend to like gravitate toward each other. I don't know if it's the same with other nationalities, but like we find each other. It's like a homing device. I can spot an Irish person in a crowd of thousands.
Yeah. It's the same with Dutch people.
Yeah, you just know, you spot your people.
Yeah.
So I started talking with this couple at a place. We had both stopped independently for lunch, and then they walked on, and then I left and I caught up with them. And I just fell into a rhythm, and I walked with the woman of the couple for a bit. He was on up ahead. We walked, for a couple of hours together, and then I checked in, found my place to stay, whatever. I was like, oh, I walked with somebody on my first date. That's interesting. That's different from last year.
Yeah.
And then I met, was that the same night? I think it might have been the same
So
night.
when you walked in together with somebody else, because that was quite a struggle the other times that you needed, how I perceive it, what you were telling till now, that it is quite a struggle. It was to make space for yourself and be then with yourself. But now you were walking with somebody else. Were you then still, was it now for you possible to walk with somebody and also stay in your own space?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the change there.
So that was, yes. And
Yeah,
I mean, so I had, all this time I had been off, I had taken time off work. Just, I had absolute burnout. I'd hit the wall. I wasn't functioning anymore. And so I had been off work since November 23.
Okay.
I was nearly 2 years off work at this point.
Okay.
And significant, like, personal self-reflection, therapy, journaling, the whole lot, Camino, walking, other walking. So yeah, I was more able to stay with myself with the other.
Yeah.
Previously, I abandoned myself with the other. This time I was more able to, remain true to myself while also being with them.
And was that last year or the year before? 2024?
24.
24. Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, like, I met up with other people. I had meals with people from the very first day. I think it was, I think most of the time I spent time with other people, but I was dipping in and out, and I was more free to go, okay, I'm going to go, or I'll meet you there, whatever, and to be able to be with myself. And be very mindful of, I need to do this. This is a muscle that I have developed, and I need to practice. I need to stretch. I need to get stronger. So yeah, I mean, when I picked up then last year, I said, we're going to walking with people, walking by myself. And a couple of days after we first met, I can't remember where we were, but it was the day.
Where did we meet again? Do you recall?
We met with Malonseca, with the river, the little town with the river, as you walk in over the medieval bridge, and there's a river. I think it's Malonseca.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't recall. I recall meeting the people, but then I don't know anymore where it was.
Yeah. I can see it. I have a very vivid picture of it in my head. I'm just not sure if it was Malonseca or not.
No, it doesn't matter.
You walk in, it's a medieval bridge, medieval village, and there's a river, and then there was a couple of restaurants by the river, and there was a plaza there, or piazza there, and we met there. And then,
that's after the Iron Cross.
Yeah, I think, I'm fairly certain it was after.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So I had trouble with my knees. I mean, I've always had trouble with my knees, but again, I was able to kind of keep going, whatever, and on we go. One of the day before, the last time we met on the Camino, I had hit a wall, and I was like, I can't go anymore. I don't know if you remember, we met in that little town, in the little plaza.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I had so many blisters. My knees were really troubling me. My ankles were hurting. My hips were, like, everything was sore. I was in a bad way. I was like, I can't. I actually can't get up and walk tomorrow. I could barely walk across the plaza without pain, like significant pain.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm going to finish up. I don't feel like I want to finish up. I'm not ready to finish up, but I don't know that I don't know how I can go on. And the next day was the day up and into Osobreiro, or however it's pronounced. It's 30.
Oh yeah, Osobreiro. Yeah.
Osobreiro, yeah.
The place where I'm married.
Yeah.
2014.
Wow. Wow. What a place.
Yeah.
The inventor of the yellow arrow is buried up there. He's from there, born there, and he's buried up there.
Okay. Yeah.
The guy who brought the yellow arrow to the Camino. Yeah. Can't remember his name. But yeah, he got old yellow paint off the council and went spraying arrows.
Oh, that guy, who invented the arrow. Yeah.
So, that walk from where I was to Ostebrero was 31 something kilometers, and it's up through like really steep and over into Galicia. Like it's a beautiful walk, but
It's very hard.
it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could barely walk across the flat plaza the night before, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna go. And the next morning, so I went back to the albergue. I got some sleep. I don't sleep very well in the albergues, but again, that's part of the process. I got some sleep, and I got up the next morning. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I know I just can't stay here, and I got to move on from here, even if it's only a little bit. Put on my boots, and I just started walking, and I did that whole. I don't know how the hell I did it, but that day I walked up and into Galicia, and a little monument as you arrive into Galicia.
Yeah.
It was late. I mean, it took me 10 hours or so to do that walk that day. And it was quite late. I think it was near sunset by the time I arrived into Osprey. So there was very, very few people on the path as
and what you just described is what I call the second wind. I have done quite a lot of workshops, and one of the workshops was that you needed to jump up and down with your legs and with your hand in the air for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then at a high speed, and you need to lift up your legs with your knees straight. So really tough.
Jesus.
And then after 15 minutes or something, then you think, oh, I can't anymore. I need to stop. And then you get a very small break for 2 minutes. And then you start again. And suddenly some energy comes from, I don't know where. And then you can do the other 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Not with a breeze, but you can do it. Yeah. And I experienced that after that, more conscious, that when I really think I can't do it anymore, and you just take a break like you did with resting, sleeping a little bit, and then you can start. And somehow then the body finds energies in a way to cope with the next step. Yeah. And so you had a very specific moment of a second wind.
Absolutely. So I did not see myself getting there that day. And I was just like, I'll just keep going. I'll just go on to the next bit. I'll just go on. Yeah. I had no agenda. I was like, God, it would be really cool if I got there, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It did.
But you did.
It did. Yeah. And it was, I firmly believe that it was my ability to be in the moment, to be able to notice what was coming up for me, notice what was going on. Take one step at a time, listen to my body. So if, coming into a place, I feel like I need to stop and have a rest, take my socks off, maybe put on dry socks, sit down, have a cup of coffee, or I want to keep going because there's too many people and I just need to keep moving. I just did it. And I think I walked that day entirely by myself.
Yeah.
And it was, I think that was maybe one of the only days last year that I walked entirely by myself. It was profound. Again, it's something that's still processing. But as I walked over into Galicia and I saw I was going to see the tombstone, as I saw the marker, because Galicia, you're now into another province, another region.
The rainy area.
Yeah, and it's very like Ireland.
Yeah.
It's lots of green fields. It's very the landscape is so different. It's hillier than previous days. It's greener. It's rainier. It's and it's another region. It's another milestone. It's another. I did it. I've done. I've walked through something.
Yeah.
I found those kind of crossing those regional boundaries for me was like again, even though it occurred in 2018.
And did you manage then last year all the way to Santiago?
I got to 3 days outside of Santiago, which was way further than I thought I would get to.
Yeah. So you still need to go one more time to finish it off.
Yes, but the reason I could have stopped beforehand, but I didn't want to. I wanted to keep walking. I stopped walking the day before I was flying home. Actually, no, I didn't. I walked the day I was flying home a little bit, but I stopped. I walked right up until I had to, I had no more time to walk. because I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to keep.
Yeah,
And
that I recognize.
it wasn't that I was wanted to keep walking to keep up with other people. I just wanted to keep walking because it was moving stuff.
Yeah.
And it was helpful and it was healthy and I was enjoying it, even though I was enduring it. It was tough, but I knew there was processing going on.
Yeah.
So I got to 3 days outside of, and the name escapes me now. God, I'm dreadful with place names. 3 days outside of Santiago. I had calculated a few days beforehand, if I, do longer days, I can make it there. But I was like, that's not the point of it.
No.
That's not the point of it.
No.
So I walked until I ran out of days. And then I was like, right, I'm going to pick up from here. So I got a bus from there into Santiago the day I was flying home.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, I was afraid if I stopped too far out, like the day before into Osabreo, I was afraid that if I stopped then I would never walk again. I'd never go back and finish it.
Yeah.
I was really concerned about that. So I wanted to keep going. Where I've stopped, I will fly into Santiago. I'll go back 3 days in the bus,
then walk
60 odd kilometers, pick up from there. But my intention is to walk onto the sea.
Okay.
So when I got to Santiago in 2011, everyone was like, "Oh, are you going out to finish there? Are you going to?" And I was like, "No, I live near the sea. I don't need to go walk to see the sea. It's whatever. I'm never walking again. This time, it's really important for me to walk to the sea and walk into it and have a swim."
Yeah. Hey, so and if I listen to your story, because you have went multiple times, and that's logical because you're still working. I'm retired, so I can just take 2 months off or whatever.
Yeah.
I for me, I see a very red line in the whole thing, and it is like an enormous struggle to the struggle of life and the struggle to find yourself back again. And it's not only in one Camino, but actually multiple Caminos, coming back, not allowed to walk because something happens. You need to go away, then you come back. And for me, it feels like one big struggle of life presented there in the Camino, and also a big struggle to go to yourself, to your inner place.
Yes. Yeah.
And how is that now for you now?
How is it now? Like, I have gone back to work since I came back from the Camino in October. I have gone back to work and I started like kind of part-time and slowly building up. And my ambition has been kind of around April, May to go back, do those 3 days into Santiago, walk out to Finisterre, up to Murcia, and then back into Santiago. And that will be about 10 days walking. So it'll take 2 weeks leave and do it, over 10 days, whatever. And then that Camino will be complete for me.
Yeah.
So it's still a work in progress, but it's a really good analogy for what's going on internally for me as well. In kind of, my therapeutic journey, self-reflection, processing stuff, trying to figure out how do I be me? Who am I? How do I be me when I'm not abandoning myself to meet the other? Putting everybody else's needs ahead of my own to the not because that's that's a good thing to do at times, but you can't pour from an empty cup. So you need to be able to resource yourself before you can resource others. And by the time I went out of work sick 2 years ago, I wasn't able to resource.
Yeah, because what I noticed myself that I also worked in your field of work, not exactly the same way, but in your similar field of work. And I know, and also in the IT, I coached small teams and huge teams.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to lose yourself. And at the moment that you lose yourself, because it is a kind of a reflex to do it.
Yeah.
And you need to become really self-aware to be aware that you have that reflex,
Yeah.
and that you then can decide, okay, I will be with that other person, but I'm also with myself there. And then it changed, because
Yeah.
then you can, that because you just mentioned the cup needs to be, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
But then the cup will never be empty, because you will be there with yourself,
Yes.
and you can stay with other people and not feeling your energy being drained, and
Please.
because it will not go out in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
If you can find ways to fill your cup, but also to empty, you can't take it all in, but equally you can't give it all out if you're not putting
something. And now another thing pops up in my mind, because I've been busy at the end of since 2009 with quantum physics.
Yeah.
So if you go through the analogy of the cup, the cup in the first place was never filled with anything, so it cannot be emptied.
Yes.
And you can also say it is always filled, and you can pour out, because there's so much there that now becomes a little bit spiritual, but it isn't, because this is all quantum mechanics. And actually the cup can never empty.
Yeah.
Because there's an endless amount of energy there. And so
I think, absolutely. But I think the cup gets blocked. It gets, stuck in it. And then the energy can't move through it. If, the stuff can't move through it. If, all of a sudden the cup is filled with cement. I know on a quantum level we can talk about, well, actually things can move through objects, whatever. But for me, I was very stuck, and I hit the wall, and I couldn't keep going. And in the 2 bits of the Camino that I have done in the time that I was off work and now going back to work and looking at the next stage, it's like it's the permission to take a break. You don't have to always be doing. Like, you do need to rest. You do need to stop and take stock every once in a while. You need to let people help you. You need to get out of your own way sometimes. I think the Camino is such an important analogy for life.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good analogy for my training program. But it's bigger than that. It's life.
Yeah, it is bigger than that.
There are days when you're walking by yourself. There's days when you're surrounded by people, and you're in the middle of it, and you feel held and contained and met and seen and heard. And there's days when you're surrounded by people and you feel the loneliest person in the world. There's days where it's plain sailing, and there's days where there's rough seas. It's
what? It is so insane, actually, because it is so simple. You just have your gear and you walk. How
and it's the hard thing to do. It's the easiest thing to do.
Really, if you think about it, it's so simple, but it is so profound and big effect. Hey, Emma, you mentioned that you need to take care of your time.
Yeah, I'm. Oh God, we're coming up on time.
Yeah, exactly.
That came to mind, a reflection that came to mind as you were talking there about the cup and the quantum physics and stuff. Something that struck me in this moment is, since I have come back from, so my I'll show you my boots for my last Camino. The day I arrived into Santiago, because this is quite funny, and I know this can't be seen on the podcast, but I think this is funny. The day I arrived into Santiago, this was my boot.
Oh, they are
right. Literally, the sole of them has come away from the top of the boot.
Yeah.
They owe me nothing. But these boots, these and my other boots, all the boots that I bought for the Camino, I got on sale. I think I may have spent €50 on them. They're high tech. They're good boots. I got them on sale. But I didn't spend a huge amount of money on them. Since I have come back, I have invested in a pair of good quality leather boots.
Yeah.
And it's just struck me that for the first time ever, having completed 2 Caminos, I now have more robust boots to walk my next Camino.
Yeah.
So I've given myself that.
But this is very important, because actually it is so difficult to take care of herself. So you buy boots in sale, and actually when you buy the real good boots where you don't, then you have less trouble with your knees, less
Yep.
blisters. And this is also a very nice metaphor, actually,
Yep.
because how difficult, and that's one of the lessons I was struggling with my last Camino last year. And I said to my wife many times, I now notice how difficult it is to take care of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, you show your shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
the living proof.
and my first pair of Camino boots are over here, right? They literally, they split across
Yeah.
where the toe bends. They have split across there. They they owe me nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't invest, and it's like a car,
Yeah.
where the rubber meets the road. If your tires, you can have the best car in the world. If your tires are shit, good luck to you.
Yeah. Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's the same with the boots. The boot, it would be great if we could, really connect with nature and walk barefoot. We can't. Don't ever do the Camino barefoot. Oh my God.
No.
Like the importance of good footwear, good gear, good food, good rest, good quality.
In other words, take care of yourself.
Good quality taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, I know on the days when I don't feel like, I mean, this is true to life now on the Camino, whatever. The days when I don't feel like I don't deserve to look after myself are the hardest days to go through. And if I force myself on those bad days to have something healthy to eat, drinking water is one thing I always do, but have something healthy to eat, have a rest, take a shower if you feel like shit, whatever it is, do something that helps to set you up to move forward in a more, there's my alarm sounding. It helps to set you up to move forward in a more connected way where you give yourself permission to take up your space in the world. And I think that's what the Camino has really taught me. It's like, there is space for everybody. We don't all have to do it the same way. There's so many ways.
Everybody walks his own Camino.
Yeah. I mean, I met people in wheelchairs that were hand pedaling up mountains on my first Camino. Yeah. I've met people in their 80s throw on a pack and off they go. I'm like, Jesus. And I'm like, crippled walking behind them and they're throwing the pack on the back. I've met people who have, a tiny little small bag on their back and they're getting all their stuff brought forward. I've met people who are carrying.
So my first Camino in 2013, I was standing on the mountain before Santiago. You see the cathedral, Mount
Monte de Gozo.
Yeah, right. where the Maria was. Anyway, I was standing there. There was a guy I think he was from Japan or something, and his feet were so swollen that he could not wear shoes anymore. He had flip-flops, and his feet were so swollen that they were pouring over the flip-flops, and he was shoveling his feet one step after another, and he didn't stop. And I thought, sometimes you need to protect people against themselves, because this is that was not healthy at all.
Yeah,
and actually. And it is so difficult to get away from the things like, I'm okay, I'm an old man, but I can do 25 kilometers a day, and all that kind of stuff, Yeah. And it was so difficult for me also last year to say, I can't do 25 kilometers a day. I can do 15 to 20. That's okay. Yeah. And before I could make that, I could accept that. I was already walking 400 kilometers or something. Yeah. And bloody, it took such a long time to acknowledge who I am and accept that part and just be that, Hey, Emma, we really need to take care of your time, because otherwise you get in trouble. Is there something?
I'm actually. I was going to walk to my next, but it's raining, so I'm going to cheat and drive. So
okay.
We have to say 10 minutes.
Is there something you really want to say to your fellow pilgrims that you think this is something you really want to share and what you need to know?
Yeah, I think, and I'm gonna preface this with, physician, heal thyself, practice what you preach, blah blah blah. This is, again, like you were saying, it's so simple and it's the hardest thing in the world to do. Yeah. But to try and use the experience of doing the Camino and then bringing it through to your life after the Camino, try to not be so quick to judge yourself or others harshly.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of a trope now at the moment. Oh, be kind. You don't know whatever. Nobody knows what everyone else is going through. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's I noticed on both Caminos the shift in mentality of fellow pilgrims on arrival into Sarri. As you get closer to Santiago, it gets busier and busier and busier. And there's there's so many different types of Caminos. It's like society. There's so many different layers of society. On the Camino, you're all squished into a tiny little, there's certain, limited resources, whatever. And there are people who are going over and they're doing like the tourist Camino. There's people who are doing it because they want to do it the quickest they can get there. I'm going to get there in 20 days. I want to do it this way. I want to do it that way. Everybody does their own Camino.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a competition. If anything, you're in competition with yourself and you're just trying to be better, like not better than who you were yesterday or whatever, but you're trying to find out who you are and to kind of chip away at the shit that you might have accumulated.
Yeah, but also that when somebody is doing as a competition, that's their Camino.
That's their Camino. Yeah. And if somebody needs to get a bus, if somebody needs to get a taxi, somebody needs to get their bag brought on.
That's their Camino.
It's their Camino. And even if somebody is like, oh, they're not reflecting enough, or they're not, they're not going into the church. It doesn't matter.
But Emma, now we are touching something. When I started to, I mentioned it in the first episode of this podcast. I was writing the script for the introduction podcast.
Yeah.
And then I got a revelation that, and I have a background in psychology and coaching and all that kind of stuff. And then I got a revelation that I thought, oh, this is so powerful, because at the moment that we can have the skill of self-reflection, then we don't judge anymore. We can judge somebody on what the person is doing to achieve the goal. Yeah. But the intention of the person itself is most of the time something benign.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I have met people in my life who tried to get my company bankrupt. Yeah. And at that time I could take his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it is different, because I now I can understand the intention he had.
Yeah.
The way he did it.
Yeah.
That needs to be stopped.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but the intention behind it is something else. And that is what I noticed with the Camino. And also when I was writing the script for this introduction podcast, and I thought, oh, this is so powerful, because self-reflection is really the key to move to non-judgment. And non-judgment we experience when I have no judgment towards you. We have an experience of unconditional love from the other person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you need to cope with everything the person is doing. You still need to stop destructive behavior. Yeah. But the connection with the person is still there. And that inkling came while writing the script. And that's why I'm so driven by putting these podcasts with many pilgrims out, because I now understand, by just listening to many fellow pilgrims, and then they move one after the other to self-reflection, non-judgment, and in a different world. Actually, we start programming a brain in a different way. That is what we actually do. Yeah. This is so powerful. And I didn't realize that at all. I thought when I started with it, oh, that's a good idea. And then writing the script of the introduction, I thought, oh, whoa, this can be much more than just listening to the stories of other pilgrims. And you are touching that as well. So that's actually the core of why I do this in the meanwhile.
Excellent. Yeah, it's for me, it's so, we're so quick to judge because we have to. We're constantly judging because we have to, in order to make sense of the world, in order to
otherwise we can't survive.
We can't survive. We have to make judgment calls.
Yeah.
Often we are conditioned to not listen to our internal instinct, our gut instinct, or whatever. We're conditioned to suppress that. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to. And so then we start making snap judgments, and we stop thinking about why we're making those judgments. And so if the Camino has taught me anything, it's to kind of catch myself in those moments and go, what am I expecting? What am I like? So if I'm expecting something of myself or somebody else, and I or they don't meet that need or that expectation, that leads to disappointment, right? I can stop that disappointment from happening if I lower my expectations. If I not lower my expectations, if I try and see things in a more holistic way.
Yeah.
With judgments, we take shortcuts. We go from A to C and we cut out B and we take the most direct line. And we do that with ourselves and we miss out on an awful lot by judging. We're losing context of things. Everybody, I don't know anybody that's done the Camino that hasn't tried to figure something out. I haven't met anybody on the Camino who hasn't been trying to figure something out. They may not know it when they go over because they may be doing like a tourist.
Oh, I recorded the podcast with Bill from Boston, and it is just released today, and that's so interesting because he started the Camino because he was retired like me, and he thought, oh, I give myself a kind of a awesome adventure.
Yeah.
And then Bill and me, we met each other at San Anton, the old ruined monastery.
Oh,
and we had an amazing, you should listen to the podcast. This is number 3.
I'll listen to that later on,
Yeah. And we had an amazing experience there in San Anton. But the thing was, he said he was so confused.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't sign up for this. This is not the idea, because he started with something else, like a nice trip for him to reorganize a little bit and think about his life. And suddenly the Camino, the inner Camino, hit him really hard. And now it is already months later, and we had a talk and also the recording. And he still says it was such a profound, not only the profound experience, but the impact it has. And also on his life. I asked him also what listen to the podcast. I asked him, what is the effect for you in your daily life? And he could tell that. And also he mentioned that it is not finished yet.
Oh yeah, no.
So the effects are still rippling out, and it is awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My final thing that I'd like to kind of sign off on this is, the Camino doesn't give you what you want; it gives you what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
I went on my first one thinking, it'd be nice, and I traipse through Spain and it's beautiful scenery, and I just go on my own. I'll go to the beat of my own drum. It gave me what I needed, and then I went back. I picked it up and I went back, and each time it's given me what I didn't. I mean, there was one day I walked. I mean, literally, I could pour water out of my boots by the time I arrived. The civil defense stopped me and went, "Are you okay? Do you know?" I was like, "I have 2 hours of walking to do. I have 3 hours of daylight." And they're like, "Yeah, but the rain." And I squeezed out my jacket and I went, I'm fine. I need this. This fits me. It's good. And they were like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." The Camino gave me what I needed, not what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't we all love sunny days?
And in that way, the Camino is like a parent, because a parent gives the kids what they need and not what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really harsh, because they really, and I say the same to my kids. I have 4, and they didn't like me many times about that, because then I told them, this is what you need and this is not what you want, and but I want no way, this is what you need. And they hated me sometimes for that. And then in some occasions, one of the kids told me later on, years later, I was so angry on you that day because of that and that happened, but now I understand. And actually, the Camino is similar like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like that day when my leg popped and I could hear it squeak.
Yeah,
that forced me to stop and reflect and go, I now have actually injured myself because I'm trying to keep up with other people. How far do I need to go? That I didn't stop learning that lesson. I've learned that lesson again multiple times since, but each time I'm like, oh shit, here I am again. That poem, there's I walk down a road and there's a hole and I don't see the hole and I fall in. Have you heard of that poem? It's I can't do it justice because I can't quote it properly, but its origins are in addiction. but it's we make the same mistakes over and over again. I might send it to you, put it in the links for the podcast or whatever, because it's really powerful in terms of we can know something and still make the same mistakes. But it's about reflecting, being aware, and going, okay, maybe I'm practicing the muscle of.
And when the podcast is online on the website, there is the possibility to put comments below it.
Excellent. Yes.
So if you want to give links and things like that, then you can put it in there.
Brilliant.
And that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, Emma, I think I need to protect yourself against the time.
Protect me from me. I do need to go now. Yeah, but we could do this. I mean, our last
we talked before, and we have so much to share, and we synchronize so much on the whole story. So, and it is always
maybe we'll come back again and pick up again some other time, because I'm going back. I'm going back.
Yeah, and then you visit me in Villalora de Rioja. In the Camino house.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, me too. Okay, thank you again very much that you want to participate. And no problem. I loved it. And we will talk and meet each other for sure again.
Sure, for sure. Best of luck with the stuff that's coming up, and go forward with this podcast. The world needs it. It's great.
Whether you're walking the Camino right now, or preparing for it, or perhaps you are back home and maybe even suffering from PCS, the post-Camino syndrome, I hope that this podcast inspires you. And if so, do not keep it to yourself. Share it. When you share this podcast, you actively help spread the skill of self-reflection. Every person who learns the skill of self-reflection begins to see people differently. You may still question what somebody does, but the judgment about their intentions start to disappear. And you are entering the realm of non-judgment. And non-judgment is experienced as unconditional love. This is how real change begins. With you, the people around you, your city, your province, your country, your continent, and eventually the world. That is why actively spreading the skill of self-reflection like an unstoppable virus is so important. So please do not just listen, but act on this call and share it with as many people and on as many platforms as you can today. For new episodes, go to www.inacaminohouse.com. Select the podcast page in the menu. There you can subscribe to the podcast notifications. You will also find a link in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and bon Camino.